Hi, my name is Mike, and I'm here to tell you about my WWF LJN 8-inch rubber figures. I decided to get back into collecting these not that long ago, and as I started to get some in for my collection, I noticed how heavily used some of these were, how marked up, and how dirty they were. So I want to show people how you can do it yourself. It doesn't take a lot of money. Obviously, watching me, it doesn't take a lot of technique either. Really, anybody can do it. I noticed there weren't very many videos on how to properly do this on YouTube. I watched a couple, and there's some of them things that I wouldn't do, so I want to show you what does work and show you some of the things that I have actually done. So hopefully this does well for you. I will try not to jibber jabber too much, but I will show you what I've done and how I've done it. So my collection now spans about 32 figures. Most of them are the, what you want to call the commons, the ones that they made the most of. I have been able to pick up a few of the more, I say rare figures, kind of like you see Demolition Axe right there. And as I get these figures, like I said, I work on them, I paint them, I'll do what I can to kind of restore them to what I like. As you watch these, if it's not, to your liking, as I always tell someone, do it your own way. Figure out what works for you best. But I'm here to tell you what has worked best for me. I actually have my collection in two different parts. I have the living figures back there, and then I have the what I call the In Memoriam Battle Royal for those WWF heroes and legends who have passed away. So as they have moved on, I'm going to add them to this collection over here with a ring that I actually have refurbished as well, getting new ring ropes and actually 3D printing some turnbuckles. So I can show you that on another video on how we were able to do that and restore my ring. One of the first things that I think anybody really needs when doing this is you need some kind of a little work area / workshop. And I got myself a nice little desk with a couple different tiers, as you saw in some of the stuff behind me. This is like my Movie Monster collection as well, but it is my workspace for my WWE figures. I have a nice little speaker here to work on things, as well as an X-Acto knife. Weirdly, some plastic containers, and I'll explain those. I have my little container of Mod Podge, which is a key component for putting these together. And as you can see, I have a lot of little paints and a lot of little brushes. Now, speaking of which, with the paints and brushes, I will tell you that one of the easiest places to go and find things is Walmart. I know some people may prefer hobby store things, but I'll tell you what, the paint that comes from Walmart, which would be like any of the Apple Barrel collection, especially in the bright blue, these match most of the colors for your WWF figures. So you don't have to work too hard to find these, and the advantage for Walmart is these are only 50 cents per container. So obviously I've been able to get quite a few, and in some cases it's a trial and error, like my different versions of pink that I needed for Jesse the Body Ventura and a couple other figures as well, just to find what works the best. Rarely have I had to mix and match very often, except for the hair, and that'll come upon, we'll talk about that in some of the other videos also. For my brushes, I have a large collection of brushes. These are also Walmart specials. Walmart has packs of 8 or so for like $6, $7, and those are good enough for some that are pretty thick or some that you want that are pointed for some of the more fine details that you see. I have my little Jaws up here who's holding all of my paintbrushes for me. Like I said, the Mod Podge is pretty important, and I have my own little brush for that one as well, because it's a different fiber brush that works. And if you see, I have some Q-tips laying around, some that are used, some that are unused, because another key component for work on these figures is basic nail polish removal. I have seen where people have used degreaser or other things on their figures, and I'm just not a big fan of that because I think that it might damage the figures. So instead I use nail polish removal. So my first little project, in no way, shape, or form am I gonna bring Hillbilly Jim back to life. It looks like he lost the dog attack. He got it in the nose a little bit, and then yeah, but he also has some damage on his arms. But I do want to use him to show you how I clean figures right from the get-go, because there have been some videos out there that said marker is impossible to remove, and I will tell you that it is not, and I want to show you how to do that. So the first thing that I do is I take my figures into my little my sink area. What I have is just a Rubbermaid container inside of the sink, and I've already put some just basic dishwasher liquid, not really the hand soap stuff, but the stuff that you use for the dishes. I put some of that in there, and then what I'll do is I go ahead and set the figure in there, and I've got hot water. I think hot water really helps to break any of the dirt down, and any of the if there's markers or such that's on it. And then obviously I let it mix. I let the figure get completely covered over with the soap and with the water. Now don't do any scrubbing yet. I'm just going to let him sit for a while. I really think that this is important because it's going to break up some of that dirt, and then some of the markers and anything else that is on there. So Hillbilly Jim is going to just take a nice little bath there for a while. Now, while I'm here, one other thing that's pretty important is you're going to want to find a brush like this that you can find on Amazon. I think I bought a 2-pack for like $4. And this is just a hard bristle cleaning brush that has a rubber end at the end of it. That's a little tough rubber end. The rubber end is actually really important because some of these figures have like little nooks and crannies behind coats, like Mr. Fuji, as well as Slick, where some of the dirt has gotten in. And instead of using like an X-Acto knife or something sharp, this rubber end does a really nice job of getting into it. And I picked a brush that doesn't have a lot of bristles on it. It's small, it's easy to handle, but this will do a lot of cleaning on your different figures that you have. So we're going to let Hillbilly Jim sit for a little bit, and we'll come back to him and we'll clean him up as best as we can. Alright, so as I work on these figures, I'm going to try and keep them in front of you as best as I can. I'm still kind of new to all of this and YouTubing and getting used to the camera as well. So I've already actually washed Slick, and I always double check and make sure all the dirt and all the scuffing and everything, you know, is whatever I can get off, I can get off. But before I paint it, I take a look to see what really my toughest things are going to be on this character. Now he's a little bit different than, say, here's Hillbilly Jim. Look at him nice after his bath. No, I'm just kidding. This is a better Hillbilly Jim figure. Hillbilly Jim and your other figures, especially in the early stages, what a lot of people don't know is what color the original rubber is. The trick for your more rare figures, like Slick, like One Man Gang, Honky Tonk Man is notorious for this. Whatever their main color is that you see on their body scheme, like for gray, for Slick, that's what you're seeing here. Oftentimes people mistake that for marker or dirt or something otherwise, and it's not. That is the original rubber color, and then the rest of his facial stuff is paint. So here's where he's going to cause me some problems. I'm going to have to find something to match his skin tone, which I do have a lot of different browns, which I will try out and do a little bit of trial by error, but everything else should be pretty easy. The gray's not going to be too hard, mostly because since that is his original color, I'm just getting the scuffs that are out of it, and you can see all of that right here. So that will be one of my first tasks that I try to do. I try to get all the scuffing out of it that I can, including on his sleeves and such, and then we go from there. Okay, so once I have cleaned Slick off, didn't look too bad, he wasn't really too difficult. What I do next is I try to get as much scuffing as I can off of it. Now, what I hate to say is that I've already done this part of it, and I filmed it, but then I realized I only took a picture of it and didn't hit the video settings, so yeah, I'm not as smart as Slick. I have to just tell you what I did on this because I already cleaned them up pretty well. So what I do is I take some nail polish remover. Some people use degreaser. I'm not a big fan of that because I don't think you need to get these figures all chemicaled up. I think nail polish remover is just good enough. I take a old plastic lid, something that works like this. I pour a little bit of it into it, and I've already done that. Again, my shortcomings as a videographer. And I use Q-tips. As simple as that. Something that's soft, something that though is hard though at the end, and you can put some pressure on it. So what I'll do is I swirl it around, I get the end nice and wet, and this is actually the end that I used on Slick already, so you can see how much dirt and grime and other things came up. Marker does come off of these figures, and that's one of the reasons why I highly recommend doing the hot bath and the soap bubbles in it as you're letting these guys soak, because I really think that breaks it up pretty well and allows you to then, when you need to, like I'm going to do here on, there's a couple other parts on Slick that's not clean. He has a little bit of green right here. I'm not a perfectionist by any means, but I do want to have him clean and show you how this works. And so I take some of the nail polish remover and then I just scrub it on there. I usually get my hand and fingers in pretty close because you want to put a lot of pressure on. And then you just scrub however you see fit. It's rubber figure. You're not going to damage it much. Sometimes it comes up, sometimes it does not. There's some times when I think maybe it's an imperfection in the figure or in the coloring in their mold or something like that. And it just doesn't want to come up. It doesn't look like it's too bad right now. It's starting to fade. So just scrub, scrub, scrub. You can see some of the dirt and some of the green that's actually come off of that figure. I like to make sure that I get under his coat anytime that I can. In the crevices, yes, I mean the crevices too there. Usually around the neck, around his collar area is usually pretty bad, and even into the armpits as well. Anywhere where the normal brush that I use hasn't been able to get into them. But like I said, that works. You know, this is cheap, nail polish remover. Be kind to your wife and daughter. Don't steal theirs like I did. Go and buy some of your own. It's pretty cheap, but that's one of the pluses of this that I've done is everything that I use is cheap, and I don't mean cheap in quality. I mean just cheap in general. It's not really an expensive habit, other than some of these figures once in a while cost a lot of money. So step one, as I said, with Hillbilly Jim is give him a bath. Step two, when he's finished, much like Slickster, you want to take off any of that excess dirt and that excess marker if you can, and it does look pretty good. One of the things that I do want to comment on, you have to be aware of your figures and what kind that you have. Now, as I was doing it earlier, train of thought just went off the tracks. Some paint does have imperfections, like Slick has. You can see this here, that is not anything. You can see it's a little bit deeper into his coat. So what I'll try to do is match paint to it and cover it up as best as I can. But go and get Hillbilly Jim all cleaned up and see how he's doing in his bath. I do want to tell you that, I enjoy doing this. In short, it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun for me to take characters or figures that look pretty trashed, like Axe from Demolition. He looked terrible when I got him online the other day, and he had so much paint loss. But I enjoyed it. I took it as a challenge and just able to bring him back to life. And you know, it's something I'm proud of. It may not be perfect. There's some collectors who are like, nope, just gotta have them as they are and whatever. That's not me. I'm doing it to the level that I like to do. Even into getting his little spikes on, and that's just white paint that is on there. Getting into his face, which had a little more detail than I expected. And you know, I love this tag team. These are my heroes from the past. Demolition, loved them. Got to see the Road Warriors, got to see Legion of Doom, and then Axe and Smash. Now the problem with Demolition is figures for LJN. They only made the Axe figure. They didn't make a Smash. So at some point I'm going to have to do a special, little bit of art, make my own custom, I guess, just to reunite the old tag team with their good buddy Mr. Fuji. So put him down, and we're going to go see how Hillbilly Jim is looking. Sorry, I don't mean to give anybody vertigo. Just walking through my bike shop. Yeah, I have a lot of bikes and stuff. Got automatic light in here. That's a great thing. Automatic LEDs. So here's Hillbilly. He's been sitting in here for a good... Sorry, my camera just flipped on me. For a good 10 minutes or so. Maybe it's a bit longer than that. He's still one-eyed, he's still crotchless, but that's all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush that I have, and we're going to clean him up a bit. As I have talked about, these brushes are actually pretty good. I use them for a variety of different things. This one's a little bit bigger. Right now I'm just trying to track down where I put my other one. So I may have to turn this off for just a second. Okay, so it's time to resurrect Hillbilly Jim from the dead. As I said, this is more of a practice figure because he just doesn't look great as much as I want him to. So what I'll do is I'll take my heavy-duty brush and just me kind of figured. I'm just going to take it. I'm going to scrub him, give him a good little bath. He's already warm. That rubber's all warmed up. So you can see right away a lot of that grime that was on that arm area is gone. And my light's fading on me. Got to stand up every so often, make sure it let it know I'm still alive in here. And then you work your way around the arms. You can see he's already got some white stuff here, and that's going to have to come off later when I decide to clean him up. And that's what the nail polish remover is for. But this nice little strong bristle pretty much takes care of anything. I'll wet it every once in a while. That's going to be on there. Except, as I said, some of that white, that's a little bit difficult. Here's one of the reasons why I'm not going to restore this figure. His arm's falling off. And, well, clearly I can't replace that. Or I guess I'll make him a pirate if that's the option. But this is pretty much it for cleaning him up. He'll get to the stage where Slick was, that I had originally, that he's to the point where it'll all be nice and clean, all this dirt will be off, but yet he's still got those discoloration, and that's where that nail polish remover comes in handy. So next video that I have, I will work on Slick, and I will show you what kind of paint I use and what kind of techniques that I have, which are pretty basic. Really, anybody can do this. I did this myself, self-taught, I guess. It's really not that big of a deal, but it helps to resurrect some of these figures that you loved, and so that they look a lot better for your collection. Hope you've enjoyed it. See you next time.